Utkarsh Ambudkar plays Jay in the CBS comedy Ghosts. I'm Matt Noble of Gold Derby, and I want to start off by asking you, Utkarsh,
Outing
what?
me.
Yeah, by asking you, what is the biggest challenge about being alive on Ghosts?
The biggest challenge about playing one of the two livings on Ghosts for me is not laughing at my co-stars. We have been blessed with an ensemble and a writer's room that's creating such a comedic environment, and there's such huge heavy hitters on our cast. And yeah, from an acting perspective, being engaged while looking confused is a very fine line. And if you don't dance it just right, Matt, I mean, chaos could ensue. The whole show could fall apart. So I would say the responsibility of our success rests keenly on my thin shoulders.
Definitely. And I think something that I find like interesting and somewhat impressed by your performance is how you can sort of be in a scene with a lot of the ghosts, but be very focused on not looking at any of them as they're talking. How do you manage that?
The skill of ignoring loud, funny, and exuberant characters while standing, 2 feet away from them is something that I think I picked up from having two small children. A 2-year-old and a 7-year-old will teach you how to ignore almost anything. So they are my biggest masters. They're my shifus, as it were. And then, yeah, I don't want to mess up anyone else's take by laughing through it. Truly, the guys are doing such great work, our cast, that you wouldn't want anyone to be like, we need another one because Utkarsh laughed and messed that one up. I don't need the death stare from my fellow cast members.
Yeah. Do you do some takes with the ghost there and some takes without the ghost there?
Exactly. Yeah, we do takes with Rose and I, and Rose is essentially acting to an empty room. What she's doing is technically very difficult. And then the ghosts all sort of shuffle in, and then it becomes the whole family jumps in and we have a great big party with everyone. But we shoot every scene 2 or 3 different ways, depending on if there's green screen involved and a ghost is coming through a wall. So some of those group scenes can be very, very long.
Do you find it easier when the ghosts aren't in the room for your bits?
I mean, they're 2 different shows. We're basically doing a 2-person romantic comedy, and then we're doing an ensemble sort of family comedy in the same show. And technically, I mean, the days when it's just Rose and I are for sure shorter, but our cast is so fun and so connected and genuinely loves each other. And so when everyone is there, while the days might be longer, it's way more fun. Like Rose and I have a blast together, but if you were to visit set and see how the 10 or 11 of us work with each other and communicate with one another, I think you'd see something special happening.
And you've like with those big group scenes where you're all sort of chipping in with lines and things, there's a real sort of rhythm that needs to get sort of established between all of you. And you have a bit of a background and a bit of work in rap. Like how like do any lessons from sort of finding a rhythm with rap like translate into finding rhythms in comedy and ensemble work?
I think you are spot on, Matt. I tell you what, bro, I don't know where I end and you begin because we're having the same thoughts right now, buddy. Music is comedy, right? Comedy is all about rhythm. Back to Chaplin and the Three Stooges, Laurel and Hardy, Lucille Ball. Everything is rhythmic, right? All of our favorite, like Lucille Ball with the chocolates on the conveyor belt, or Who's on First, like any of these great bits all require a certain sense of pace and give and take and sharing. It's very communal. Comedy works best when everyone is sort of eating together and enjoying together and sharing in the space in such a way that it feels like it's just bouncing back and forth seamlessly. And that feels very much like what we do on Freestyle Love Supreme. The The Tony Award-winning Broadway show that I've been a part of, which is running right now at the Kennedy Center in DC for any of those watching. Buy some tickets.
Nice.
But
Nice.
yeah, I think comedy and improv requires a great sense of pace and rhythm in order for it to work harmoniously. There's all the
Yeah.
music metaphors for you.
Yeah, and you mentioned Freestyle Love Supreme that was set up by Lin-Manuel Miranda, and like what like did you learn or have you learned from that the Freestyle Love Supreme experience that you sort of bring into Ghosts and the Ghost Mansion?
Again, it's just about collaboration. It's about knowing that the best product is one that's shared. And you know, Lynn, I was just FaceTiming with him 20 minutes ago because his son is very curious after the season finale what's going to happen with Jay, with the ghosts. The Mirandas, much like most of America, are big fans of ghosts, and the world, I guess. But what I learned from the ensemble experience is again, like, all ships rise, right? Like, all of us can succeed together, and no one person dictates what happens with the show or with the product. We are all equal, and that's what makes it special.
Can you think of like a group scene from the first season of the show where that rhythm did just like click really particularly well, and that you know you really saw that sort of musicality in the scene?
You know, I think from episode 3-ish or 4-ish on, it's there in almost every episode with the ghosts. They found such a great, unique rhythm individually, and they each give each other so much space to operate. I mean, the characters are so disparate. There's so many different things going on that I just think it's hard to pinpoint a specific episode, but I think honestly, from like episode 3 or 4 to our season finale, it just keeps getting tighter and tighter. But I have recency bias. So when the chandelier falls in the season finale and all of us are standing around the chandelier, I think that's a pretty great example of what the cast is capable of doing together.
Oh, it's nice. And something else that happened in the first season was your character Jay was possessed by Hetty. So you got to sort of play one of the ghosts for that episode. How did you inhabit one of your sort of co-stars?
Well, Matt, to inhabit Rebecca Wasaki, who plays Hetty, I first had to get into the mind of Daniel Day-Lewis. And I thought to myself, what would Daniel Day do right here? And then the quick answer to that was Daniel Day would not be doing a sitcom on CBS. So that didn't work out for me. And I was like, okay, fine. You know, whatever. Daniel Day-Lewis is pretty on a high horse, but no big deal. But I am on a CBS sitcom. So what can I do? And any great impersonation is only as good as the person you're impersonating. And Rebecca has created such an incredible character, unique character with Hetty that deserves a lot of attention for how funny it is. And so being able to just sort of copy her, her voice, and it's very iconic already. So I had some lily pads or some touchstones that I could work with. And then I just sort of had to get into the mind of a woman who sacrificed her entire life for the patriarchy and grew up in a time that was extremely different from today. And it was very fun playing an old white lady. I'll tell you what, they got a different view on the world. She is the original Karen. Let's put it that way.
I like it. I spoke with Rebecca last week, and I think she said you followed her around a bit too.
Rebecca tried her damnedest to be like, hey, would you like me to read every single line for you and give you line readings and direction on how to play me? And I was like, nah, I think I'm good. I think I'm going to eat a couple of donuts. I'm going to take a good nap. I'm going to go like this and go, ooh, and see what happens. But no, Rebecca was super helpful. And we had a good time together with that episode.
if you got to, and it's sort of ironic because like her character was possessing you, but you had to sort of possess her, character. You were the one performing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Very meta. The actor
Yeah.
had to do what the character was doing.
Yeah. Did you have if you could pick another ghost to possess you for next season, which ghost would you want?
Oh man, I would take any of them for different reasons. I would love to be possessed by Flower. I think that would be so fun, man. Just to like, wow. Or like, I mean, Isaac would be really fun. Thorfinn. I could beat Thorfinn. My kids and my mother-in-law and my dog are running around outside right now because they're very excited about this interview happening. And they're all standing at the door, staring at me right now.
Oh my goodness.
It's good. They're big fans of ghosts here.
They
Thorfinn would be really fun, but I feel like I'd shred my voice.
Were they this excited when you were talking to Lynn just before this call? Were they at the door?
Lynn, Uncle Lynn is Uncle Lynn. We are. He wrote Bruno, whatever.
Yeah. Luckily, you were so well trained in ignoring anything.
I know, right? I'm just like, oh, they're just staring there. They're gone now. But my daughter's face was literally planted against that glass, just blowing hot air into it. Okay, we're good.
Okay, good. Thorfinn, you were wanting to play?
I'd be Thorfinn. Yeah, I'd be anyone. I think my they're just all so good. It would be a pleasure. It would be more ideal for me as Jay to interact with them personally. If we could find a way to cross the planes of existence for an episode or two, that could be really fun.
Yeah. I think and you really got with Hetty, if you got that stuck into the sort of the chips and the food and stuff like that, I can only imagine if you were possessed by Flower.
Oh my God, Flower would just be like, I gotta try everything.
Yeah.
she'd be on her way to a dispensary.
So what was the most fun thing for you to film or do from season 1?
I think the Hetty episode truly was really fun. It was the most, but then we also had so many incredible guest stars. We had Rob Hubel, Matt Walsh, Odessa Adion. We had Tristan Dalala. We had a lot of incredible guest stars. Mark Lynn Baker, Catherine Greenwood, who play the Farnsbys. And again, like I'm naming all the people that Jay can talk to. So you could see where my priorities are. All of the actors that I could actually get to speak to, those are my fun days. But it's just a pleasure being on set with everyone. We had that first season honeymoon, where you just kind of come to work and sitting in a tent with Richie Moriarty. We both went to high school together. We're from the same neighborhood in Maryland, just telling stories about growing up together and what we did as kids. And Sheila Carrasco, who plays Flower, we went to college together. We know all the same people. Rose and my wife worked together on Power Rangers eons ago in New Zealand. So we're all very connected, this group, I think the most special thing that happened all season was Roman, who plays Sisapis, got to do a scene with his father, Greg, who plays his father in the show. They got to real father and son played father and son on our show, which it doesn't get better than that. Like as a family first human being, I was just so happy for him, for that family. It's just so exciting. It's really cool.
And you spoke about some of these guest stars, and I know Matt and Rob particularly have great backgrounds in improv. Did you get to do much improv on the show? I know I've spoken to some of the actors and they say there's some scope for that.
Yeah, we have room to improvise. And if it doesn't get used in the final product, which is a 22-minute sitcom, it doesn't really matter. It's for us on set. It's for the crew. Our crew works long hours. They're there all day, every day in Montreal. And we also have to lighten their load a little bit, right? Spiritually. So if I can get the cameraman shaking a little bit, I'm a happy guy. And when guys like Rob and Matt come in, it may not be the improvisational energy on camera because the writing is so good, but off camera, when you're sort of bantering in between takes or keeping the crew engaged or just making each other laugh, that's when you really feel the benefit of having comedians on set. So it's a really good time.
That's good. Can you think of something you improvised in the first season?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I improvise quite a bit. But there's a run in Pete's Wife where I talk about Jurassic Park, where I'm describing the plot of Jurassic Park. And there was a line written, and then I just went off. So that whole little Jurassic Park bit is just me reliving the terror of watching that movie for the first time. I think the girl being like, he left us. Was really fun. And then there's little bits in every episode where I'm improvising. It's really hard to, in Dungeons and Dragons, the stuff with Pete when we're deciding to actually like play together and how excited we are and the stuff we're saying. I think Richie and I improvised that. We improvised our handshake, where Pete and Jay start to watch basketball together. You know, little bits like that. They know I need to get my little, they got to give the kid his candy. Otherwise I get grumpy. So they let me improvise a little bit every episode. So I don't get despondent.
Oh, that's good. You said that season 1 was the honeymoon phase of the show. Does that mean, are you anticipating that season 2 reality is going to set in?
We're going to all be asking for separate tents. Everybody's going to be sitting apart from each other during mealtime. Rebecca and Brandon won't speak to each other for months. Devin's going to ask that, Thorfinn's character be bulked up. I foresee it happening, okay? The writing's on the wall here. We got a big old hit and a lot of egos. I wish it was that dramatic. And, we get along. Everyone's happy to be there. I think we're stoked. We get season 2, and when you go out into the streets and in my neighborhood and everyone's excited about ghosts and happy, and Mark Hamill's tweeting at us, and again, Lynn and I are friends, but the fact that for the outside, Lin-Manuel Miranda's FaceTiming me to ask me what's going to happen after the season finale is over. It's like, not him, his son, but still, whatever. The 6-year-old loves it. That's the point. But I think season 2 is just going to be even better. I really do. I think we have something really special as a group. There are no bad energies. Everyone's really grateful to be there. Yeah.
No, it's good. Lynn's sort of a bit like in the Samantha role there, where he's having to pass along the questions to you.
I guess is that Sex in the City?
No, Samantha from Ghosts.
Oh.
From your show.
I was like, listen, Matt, I don't watch that show. Ghosts, yes, I've seen Ghosts. I know about Samantha from Ghosts.
You know how Sam is given messages from the ghost that she has to say to you. Lynn is giving messages from his son.
You are correct. That's not on you. You set me up perfectly, and I just saw the ball go by me, and I forgot where I was. I apologize.
To be fair to you, Sam, she's called Sam more in Ghost than Samantha. I was using a very formal way of describing her.
I think I just, for that second, had a minor stroke, and I thought that it was Rose. I was like, oh, it's just Rose.
Yeah.
Who's lovely.
Very good. I'm speaking to her next week. Do you have a good question for me to ask her?
I think you can ask her. What would you ask Rose? It's a bit of an inside baseball thing, but it gives you a real insight into how hard she works. You could ask Rose technically how she approaches scenes where she needs to speak to an empty room that's supposed to be full of 7 people.
Yeah.
Because what the work that she's doing technically is very difficult. And I think it's lost on most casual viewers who don't really understand how television is made and don't have to. That's the point. The point is you don't have to know. We're here to do the work for you so you can enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
But what she's doing is something to be respected and celebrated.
Do you think that's trickier than what you have to do when you have to speak to a room full of ghosts when Jay could only see an empty room? Or is it like literally just the other side of the same coin?
Yeah, it's yin and yang. It's whatever's on the opposite side of the black hole. It's the opposite, but it's like, yeah, we're doing, our skill sets are such that we are both equipped to do what we're supposed to do. And I think we're doing the exact same thing on total opposite sides of the equation.
Yeah. Love it. Well, Utkarsh, it was a great chat. It's so good to talk with you. People watching this interview, you can go to goldderby.com to make your awards predictions and watch other contender interviews. Yeah. And Utkarsh, all the best of luck with the Emmy Awards.
Look, thanks so much. All I got to say is this. Ted Lasso's done enough. Okay? You know what I'm saying? Give NCIS a chance. Give The Equalizer. Somebody throw Queen Latifah a bone. Let's do this. I don't know what else. And watch Sex and the City. If you've learned anything from this interview, it's that you should watch Sex and the City.